I was about 33 years old in Oklahoma City. I didn't know anything about homelessness. I really didn't know much about poverty. I was an associate pastor at a church, very nice church, middle class church, doing real well. And somebody from our church had an opportunity to do a chapel service at a place called City Rescue Mission in Oklahoma City. It was a homeless shelter. I'd never even heard of the City Rescue Mission, didn't know anything about homeless shelter. And so I said that I would do that as part of my responsibility to the church and representing the church, that I would do that. And so I drove down, I found the shelter, and I walked into the chapel setting. And then right at 7 o'clock, then the back door opened, and then everyone filed in. In that moment, I'm sitting there at the stage, and I'm watching all of these people come in the room, and there's men, women, and kids. And I saw backpacks and blankets and bags, and people coming that were hurting, and you saw the hopelessness in their eyes, and you saw the desperation in their faces. And I was sitting there, and I watched them all come in, and I was moved. I began to speak and I began to teach them out of John chapter 3, when Nicodemus met Christ. And Nicodemus was a great man, a great ruler, but Christ told him, said, no man is so great that he still doesn't need to be born again. And then John chapter 4, the very next chapter, was the woman at the well. And the message that Jesus gave the woman at the well with her horrific past was, no one is so bad that they can't be born again. And I said, I told him, I said, right there is the gospel message. No one is so good that they don't need Jesus, and no one is so bad that they can't have Jesus. And when I close my Bible at night, those two chapters meet together, and that's the message that God has for you. And the response to that evening was people coming up to me, different than my church life, and they were asking me questions like, is that true? Can Jesus really love me? One particular man told me his whole history, and he was saying, are you telling me that with all that I've told you now about me, that God still loves me and still can change my life? And it was in that moment right then that I realized this is the real meaning of the gospel, is that yes, we're talking about life change. We're not talking about just doing better. We're talking about making people brand new, and the gospel can do that. And he began to cry, and an older man, he began to cry, and he just said, I want that so bad in my life. And I really felt like in that moment, there wasn't an epiphany, there wasn't any kind of earthquake or anything of that nature, but I felt like in that moment that God spoke to my heart as only he can. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to communicate my love to the people that really need it. That's why I do what I do.